What happens when Hollywood's most composed man, the one who's rebuilt his image after a global controversy, walks onto The View and faces a host who won't hold back? It's the kind of live TV moment that makes the audience forget to breathe. Before we dive into what happened that morning, make sure you hit subscribe to Talk Flair, and don't forget to like and comment below. Because trust me, you'll have opinions after this. The air inside the studio was charged from the moment Will Smith walked in. He wasn't there for just another promotional interview. He was there to talk about redemption, about rebuilding, forgiving, and being forgiven. Dressed in a dark navy suit that seemed to swallow the studio lights, he smiled politely, shook hands, and took his seat beside Sunny Hostin, who, for reasons the producers would soon regret, had her own agenda. The audience applauded, unaware they were seconds away from witnessing one of The View's most uncomfortable confrontations. Joy Behar tried to ease into the segment with her usual warmth. "Will, you've had quite the journey the past few years," she began. "People have seen you fall and rise and fall again. How does it feel being here now, in front of an audience that's seen it all?" Will chuckled softly, that practiced Hollywood smile not quite reaching his eyes. "You know, Joy, it feels real. Like I'm not performing anymore. I'm just being." The audience nodded, some clapping. But Sunny leaned forward, pen in hand, eyes locked on him like a prosecutor waiting for a confession. "Being," she repeated, almost tasting the word. "That's interesting, because for years you were acting. Not just on screen, but off. Especially when it came to the image of your family." The studio fell silent. You could hear the hum of the cameras. Will shifted slightly, his hands clasping together. "Sunny," he said carefully, "I think everyone's got a public and a private self. I've learned that being open about my mistakes helps others feel less alone." Sunny didn't blink. "But have you really been open?" she asked. "Or are you just trying to control the narrative again?" The audience gasped. Joy's smile froze. Even Whoopi raised her brows, muttering, "Oh boy, here we go," under her breath. Will's expression hardened, the warmth evaporating. "I came here to talk about healing," he said, his voice steady but strained. "If you want to turn this into a cross-examination, then maybe you're missing the point." Sunny leaned back, crossing her arms. "Maybe the point is accountability, Will. You can't just charm your way past what happened." For a moment, the studio became a battleground of silence. Will's jaw tightened, his eyes glinting with the same suppressed fire that once made global headlines. "You think I'm charming my way past pain?" he asked quietly. "You think you know what it took for me to get here, to even sit in this chair without breaking?" The audience murmured. The tension had become thick enough to touch. Joy attempted to steer things back. "Okay, let's all take a breath." But it was too late. Will leaned forward. "Sunny, I respect you," he said slowly. "But you went too far." That line hung in the air like smoke. Every camera zoomed in. The producers in the control room froze. The audience, hundreds of eyes locked on Will, didn't dare move. Sunny blinked, caught between defiance and discomfort. "I'm just asking what everyone's thinking," she muttered. "Yeah," Will said, standing slightly. "But not everything that's thinkable deserves to be said." The crowd erupted, some clapping in support, others gasping at the sheer audacity of the moment. And that was just the beginning. By the time the show returned from its first commercial break, the energy had shifted. The applause was nervous, hesitant, as if everyone in the room knew something unspoken had cracked between Will and Sunny. Will's posture had changed. Gone was the charming star giving sound bites. Now he looked like a man confronting a ghost. Sunny, meanwhile, wasn't backing down. "You know," she said, flipping through her note cards, "it's interesting how the conversation around you always ends up about your feelings. But what about the people affected by your actions?" Will inhaled deeply, steadying himself. "I've apologized," he said quietly. "I've taken the steps to make amends." "But is that enough?" she pressed. "Do you think one apology can undo years of—" "Well, cut her off. I'm not here to undo anything. I'm here to grow. And maybe that's something not everyone's ready to see." Whoopi jumped in, perhaps sensing the flames licking too close. All right, y'all, let's keep it respectful. This is The View, not a courtroom." But Will wasn't finished. "Sunny," he said, his voice calm but loaded, "I've spent nights replaying every moment that got me here. I've lost sleep, friends, even my peace. You don't have to remind me what I did. I live it every day." The room grew still. Even Sunny's confidence faltered for a beat. "Then say it," she said softly. "Say what you feel." Will looked down, then up again, his eyes wet but fierce. "I feel human," he said. And maybe that's the part people can't handle. They want me to be perfect or broken. But I'm somewhere in between. The audience applauded softly, a mix of sympathy and awe. But Sunny wasn't done. You talk about being human, she said, but humanity includes accountability. You've had people protect your image for decades. Don't you think you owe the truth, the full truth, to your fans? Will stared at her for a long moment. The truth, he said finally, isn't a headline. It's a process, and some of us are still walking through it. The silence that followed was deafening. You could almost hear hearts beating through the cameras. After the second break, the segment was supposed to lighten up, talk about Will's upcoming movie, maybe a few laughs. But that plan was gone. Will sat back, visibly tense. The other hosts exchanged glances, unsure how to proceed. Sunny, though, doubled down. Will, you talk about growth, but some people think your image rehab is just that, image. You've done interviews, documentaries, even written about your journey. But when does authenticity begin and performance end? Will smiled faintly, a tired, broken kind of smile. Maybe authenticity isn't about being perfect, he said. Maybe it's about showing up even when you know people will judge you anyway. The audience nodded, clapping again. Sunny's eyes softened slightly, but her tone stayed firm. It takes courage to show up, I'll give you that. But you also have to face hard questions. That's my job. Will leaned forward again. And it's my job to set boundaries when questions stop being about truth and start being about tearing down what's left of a man trying to rebuild. The audience reacted instantly, some shouting, "That's right," others murmuring uneasily. Joy exhaled, visibly nervous. Okay, let's take a second. But the live nature of the show meant no one could pause the storm. Will turned towards Sunny, his voice lower now, more personal. You can question my past all you want. But don't question my growth unless you've lived my pain. Sunny held his gaze, and for the first time, her expression cracked. Maybe I have, she said softly. Maybe you're not the only one who's been judged for your mistakes. The tension melted just a little. For the first time that morning, the audience didn't gasp or clap. They simply watched, enthralled, as two people sat across from each other, both scarred, both trying to be understood. When the show ended, the studio erupted. Half the audience cheering Will for standing his ground, the other half praising Sunny for not backing down. Clips hit the internet within minutes. On Twitter, hashtags like #WillVSSunny and #TheViewShowdown began trending worldwide. Fans debated endlessly. Was Sunny too harsh, or did Will finally show his real self? Pundits called it one of the most uncomfortable yet powerful interviews of the decade. Others said it was proof that live TV still had the power to shake Hollywood's carefully built walls. Later that night, Will posted a single message on his Instagram story. Healing isn't always pretty. It went viral instantly. Sunny, meanwhile, tweeted, "Tough conversations matter, even when they sting." The next morning, the tabloids spun every angle imaginable. Some called it a PR disaster, others a redemption moment. But one thing was clear, everyone was watching again. In the end, it wasn't just about a confrontation. It was about two people, one trying to reclaim his peace, the other trying to uncover the truth, meeting in a place where truth and pain collide. And somewhere between the applause and the silence, between the questions and the tears, the world saw something rare on live television: honesty. What do you think? Was Sunny right to press Will? Or did she cross a line? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We read every one of them. And don't forget, if you love these real, raw Hollywood moments, make sure to subscribe to Talk Flair, hit the like button, and ring that bell so you never miss the next explosive story that shakes the entertainment world to its core.